Hello everyone and welcome to another video, and today I come at you with another yap sesh. It has been a very long time since I've recorded content on this channel actively, and I'd like to be more active, but I can't promise anything because there's always something that goes wrong. Like, I've already had issues with this camera and there should be no issues. I've got a fairly empty SD card, cables running through to my TV, so I've got a readout screen. I've got my microphone set up as well, so you get some clean, crisp audio. But then, knowing my luck, it will either stop working again, or my hard drive will crash as soon as I try and put it on it. That's the thing. I don't know. I everything that could go wrong tends to go wrong in my life, and that's not an exaggeration. That's actually just been the last 3 or 4 years, and I feel there should be some people out there who relate. Welcome, one and all. So it's been a long time since I've actually actively recorded videos, because I made YouTube videos back in I did a lot of audio stuff, sorry, from 2018 to 2021. That was probably when I was most active, from the ages of 14 onwards. And then by the time that I was 16, 17, it started getting a little bit harder to get on with things. There was suddenly loads of projections of the world. No one prepares you when you're in your mid to late teens for just the amount of bullshit that is in the world, because you just have to, you have to accept it, for one, because everyone's sort of caught in it, so you've got no way of getting out. It's quite difficult. Maybe it was just the time as well. It was quite a horrific time to be a teenager during late COVID stages, but I was quite active then. I kind of slowed down. I think by 2022 was mostly just acting in other people's stuff, which I wish I made more. I wish I made more shorter things. About a year ago, I wasn't too happy with the kinds of advice I was given at college, but then I'm actually starting to understand it in recent months and weeks, is that I was always being pushed to make shorter things and more of them, so I've got more of a portfolio rather than making loads of episodes of one thing. Especially Doctor Who. So now, if you look at my portfolio, it's Limbo, Storage of the Condemned, and Happy Happy, and maybe some really shitty BFI films that I made, because I did the BFI Academy from December 2020 to February time, 2021, and then I did what's it called? I think I did another BFI short course for BFI programming where we learnt what order to put films and TV shows in a schedule. So that was quite interesting. I've got a little certificate for that. I'm quite happy. And then that was when my time at doing BFI stuff kind of ran dry. And after college, I went to uni in York, where I had some of the best and worst experiences of my life, if I'm being frank. I've had a very negative view of my life at university recently, and I really want to make a little documentary style thing where I just sort of go over all the positives at some point, because I have a very negative impression and a bad taste. I had a bad taste in my mouth when I left, and it's just that kind of thing where I think, for my personal development and just for me, I think I need to make a version of the history where it was better than I think it is, because there was a lot of joy. You meet lots and lots of people. I don't get me wrong, you meet all kinds of odd people as well. I once knew a guy who basically said he wanted to make his entire life a TV show. I then knew someone else who told me that they were a prodigy child and that they were a genius, flat out. You do bump into a bunch of narcs when you go to university, or I did creative writing, so you get a lot of people saying, "Oh, I think this piece delivers this fine equity of blah blah blah," and you sit there going, "Shut up." Again, not to be a dummy downer about it all, because, if it's how you work on things, it's how you work on things. But I think 9 times out of 10 from experience of the kinds of people who do that and say those things, they tend to kind of run dry within a year, which is the irony, because I've also been running dry in some ways. I've been doing lots of stuff, and as of recording this, over the weeks, there have been Reign of the Golden Age episode 7, Mark of the Cross, has been playing on the radio, and that's been quite sweet, I'll be honest. I've been quite happy to have that as a little nugget of niceties in my life, because joy is rare. Joy is really rare. Especially, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I'm the only person. Look at the world. The world is on fire. We're in very, very diabolical times right now, so it's completely understandable that I am one of many, So I'm not saying I'm unique, But I will never not let myself be interesting, and I'll let you know that one. I love making the audios and stuff like that. And I want to be making films. It's why I've like got the microphone set up. I've got the camera and stuff like that. I could just switch to my phone. I might do that next time because I've had issues with this camera already. But it's the kind of thing where I really want to come back and make more. And just, even if it's just 10 minutes of me rambling about nothing, I hope it's entertaining, and I hope that it fills a void, and I hope that my presence gives comfort in some regards, because, you know, with the kinds of experiences I've had in recent years, it's been quite hard to think positively, I think. And I think that's true for a lot of the world as well. It's been quite hard to think positively with everything going on, with all the things like swirling around us. And, you know, I think connection is becoming weaker. I think it's becoming very asset-based, I think. And that's not based on any particular single scenario. That's based on a lot of them. And, yeah, but I think when it comes to the reality that I live in personally, I'm back home, I'm back where I've started, we're at ground zero, but I do have everything I've learned. Because I remember having a conversation with someone who basically tried to deter me from coming back, which is understandable. It was very much like, you know, I think it was on the lines of, yeah, but then you'll go back to zero, you've got nothing again. And I'm a bit like, yeah, but I feel so much more at peace being back here. Don't get me wrong, like, life gives you lemons and stuff like that. But, you know, it is what it is. But I will say that when it comes to projects, the one thing that I did do during my time at uni is that I was making Reign of the Golden Age, because it was a point in time where I was thinking, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this anymore. Like, my psyche was all over the place, mental health was... And I think at the time, I very much just needed to do something because I was going a little bit insane. Reign of the Golden Age as a project was kind of like... it was meant to just sort of be getting out my thoughts, if you know what I mean, the opinions I had on the world. Because I wrote the 60th as like a fun little thing, and then I just wanted to carry them on. And there were just like the odd person. Like, things sort of fell into place. Like, I conveniently met so-and-so person who knew so-and-so person who'd want to be part of it. And then I started building new worlds and going back. Like Thomas McCarthy, who wrote Mark of the Cross. I knew him at the BFI Academy back in 2021. So that was quite cool, being able to reconnect with new people. And that's what I love about these projects, is that you can reconnect with people you may or may not have, like, you know, like lost touch of, you know, like you can't, because obviously in life there are 8 billion people on the planet, so you're going to find loads of different people throughout your time. And it was quite nice to reconnect, because the last memory I have is a very, very nightmarish short film we shot back in 2022 called Ashley, which was a prequel to another film. And yeah, I think the film turned out all right, to be fair, but what was meant to be a 4.5 hour shoot turned into a 12.5, and we didn't start until like 3 hours later, and we were meant to finish by like 1 a.m. We didn't finish until 8 a.m. And I was a bit like, oh god, that was bad. But hopefully, if I ever do bump into him again, we might make something again. Or I might find some new, like, creatives in Kent. Can we please get together? There are so few of you. Because, you know, there were a fair few creatives in York, but it was also really hard to convince people to just turn up. And don't get me wrong, it's hard to convince people to do anything these days. Everyone thinks they're right, but it's just the kind of thing of, oh, I just, let's make something. Let's make something. You know, because I'm sick and tired of sitting on my ass going, oh, wouldn't that be a good thing to make? No, let's just make it. And when I say make it, I mean make it properly. Because why not just like put that extra bit of effort in? Let's just make something pretty. You know, let's go. You know, let's learn these little bits. If you're an actor, come along. Let's go. You know, I think that'd be beautiful. And that's what I want to do. I really want to start making films. But the world seems to continuously get in my way with that, because it's all a lot of, if there's no money, there's no mind. Do you know what I mean? So that's the problem with short film making, and also like getting into the acting industry as well. It's a lot of, if you don't have any credits, then we don't know if we can trust you to do any of these roles. But then because you don't have any credit, it's all of that, you know. A lot of nepotism goes into the industry, I've come to discover. So, you know, and I don't come from that. This camera is a hand-me-down from 10 years ago. This microphone I got when I was working, and that computer was me saving up for like 2 or 3 years to be able to afford it. Wait, no, hold on. Wait. There we go. This is a bit fucked, I think. But now on to joyous things. Let's talk about joyous things, because I have a habit of just falling into misery. No, but yeah, when it comes to projects, obviously I was doing that. And Reign of the Golden Age, I will be honest, if it wasn't for the people around me at the time, then I wouldn't be making it. And I probably wouldn't be back doing all of this. And obviously it's been up and down for the last year and a half. Like, I had a horrific 2025. I think a lot of us did, but I had a pretty brutal one, I'll be honest with you. Like, you don't know pride and apathy until you are faced with student accommodation and the wrath of a landlord. So yeah, that was mad. I will say that when it comes to all of that, that's over. I can get on with my life. I can work without restrictions, and I'm no longer feeling like the world is crumbling, because it's already crumbled. You know, I had my Tower of Babel. It's gone. We can build a new one, a slightly more stable one this time. And well, yeah. So since then, I've been doing bits for Reign of the Golden Age very slowly, because there have been some issues making it, whether it's technical. Like, I've got my laptop that I use to edit it. Well, that I used to use to edit it. It's quite scuffed up. The screen's broken, and I'll be honest with you, it's been sat here for about 2 weeks collecting dust, because I'm now back to using my OG computer. My OG computer from back in the day. I put a new hard drive into it, and it's behaving surprisingly well. So at some point I might replace it with an SSD. And then when I'm working, I'm probably going to replace it with a very brand spanking new computer. I've tallied the parts, especially because of RAM prices. It's going to make it cost just under $3,000. But it's the computer I want, and I'm going to build it myself. Because if I didn't build it myself, it would probably cost $3,500. So I'm still saving money. But I'm not, because all the AI centers are like buying up the RAM, and it's really annoying, because I could have saved so much more money if the universe was kind to me. But I will say that because of all of that, I've got a bit of a spring in my step for making these, because I know that things are going to improve. Yes, because when I'm working, at some point I can replace this camera, I can replace this microphone. I whacked the microphone. I can replace this microphone, because I do want to get back into XLR mics and high fidelity audio, but the computer probably can't handle that. Like, it's all about write speeds. It's powerful, like, with GPU and stuff like that. I mean, it's actually quite an old GPU. It's a 1050 Ti. Like, that is, it's held up to the test of time, considering what it's doing for me, like, these days. Because, you know, like, don't get me wrong, I'm not doing anything, like, out there. I'm not working with, like, 4K video or visual effects. But it's held me up for sound design, at least. Or at least recently it has. The only thing I'm worried about is the hard drive. So, yeah, it's quite cool. But I will say that when it comes to computer stuff, I do want to upgrade everything. At some point I want to soundproof the room as well, because if you know me from my old videos, you'll remember, like, all the room was like covered in like this weird like white smear. That was dust, because the walls would collect it, and I used to have a fan in the night, because I couldn't sleep without it, especially in the summer. So throughout the summer months, you just see like the walls get paler and paler, and I looked like I was in some underground dungeon. If I'm honest with you, that wasn't a very good highlight. I'll be honest, that was quite bad. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. But now it's been changed up, so the walls no longer collect dust, and it's all grey. But now I need to turn it into a padded cell, which will be soundproofed, so I can do better audio recordings, maybe even my own Foley. That's the aim in terms of the Foley game. Like, when it comes to visual fidelity, for now it's more YouTube based, so I'm probably going to be looking into like 4K webcams than DSLRs and stuff like that. But then eventually I'll look into a DSLR and stuff like that. So right now I'm more focusing on the YouTube streaming side when it comes to visual, but at some point when I properly decide, you know what, it's time I made a film, because I can do that stuff with my phone. That's the irony. I can record in high bitrate on my phone because I've got an app for it. So, you know, I can experiment for the time being, and then when I feel like I've got a good story and I've got a bit of money set aside for it, I can go off and I can say, right, let's buy a camera, let's make this properly. But for now, you'll just see a bunch of short films, either shot on this camera or on my phone, because I know all the techniques to make it work like a DSLR, and so while I'm learning, I'm just going to use what I have rather than spending an ungodly amount of money. But I know what I need for the audio front, so I know I need to pad out the room. I need a slightly better computer for Audition, because Photoshop and Audition hate me at the moment, so I can't really do anything with that. I do like this microphone. This is a very good on-the-go microphone. This is the kind of microphone I would take with me like on holiday or something like that if I wanted to do like a recording setup. So to be fair, this is quite good. USB plug and play, but I do want to get into XLR because I've heard the fidelity like for the recordings and it's just so good. And I might get the Shure SM57 at some point in the future. That's the one that I'm looking at anyway because it's good for musical instruments as well. And that's something I'm looking at. It's not too expensive. When I say not too expensive, it's still expensive, but it's not like Shure SM7B levels, which is overhyped, I think. Because that's the thing. I love these headphones. These are the Fidelio L4s, the Philips Fidelio L4s. They're Bluetooth headphones, but they've also got a 3.5 to 2.5 millimeter jack, and I plug that into my headphones. I use it for sound designing now. It's not the most accurate thing in the world, but then when I'm making my Doctor Who audio dramas, it doesn't need to be. I will be able to upgrade my skills with better equipment, and this is more of an all-rounder, if I'm honest with you, because I want to be able to go and walk about with my tunes. I like the Bluetooth headphone aesthetic, but I also don't want to have earpods in my ears all the time because they're starting to really hurt my ear canals, and also it just sounds a bit I mean, I like my Pixel. I had Pixel buds, and I still use them from time to time, depending on what I'm doing. It's dependent. Like, if I'm, like, running around, if I, like, go jogging, then I'll probably bring my AirPods out, because these will fall off. But, you know, it's quite nice to be able to switch between different devices. It's the joys of being able to choose, you know? And that's what I like about it. But no, I do want to upgrade my equipment at some point. I just need a job. So please, whoever is out there, employ me, because for the love of God, I'm financially destitute. And well, yeah, but I can cook and clean, I promise. But basically, the overall vibe is just to slowly upgrade equipment and get better, because I found myself quite stunted. I found myself quite limited in the past by my time, well, not my time, by the environments that I've been in, because it's one of those things where when I was in student accommodation, you obviously have to adhere to student rules and stuff like that. I don't anymore, so that's quite good. And also it's that kind of thing where you have to prioritize money on other things, and obviously I'm paying my way with bits and bobs here because I'm with my mum again. But it's one of those things where I hopefully will be able to slowly invest in better equipment to take this seriously at some point. By no means am I taking it seriously with my Reign of the Golden Age Doctor Who's. That is fan stuff. That is the kind of stuff that I get to experiment with. I mean, a lot of people do ask me why I make, like, in the real world, online, everyone I talk to is Doctor Who stuff, but people IRL are like, why do you make so many Doctor Who audio dramas when you could be making originals, or you could be maybe making music? And I kind of turn around and I say, well, I could do all of those things, but the problem is I would much rather have a playground that is Doctor Who that no one takes seriously than judging me on what I wouldn't know based on an original. But the way I perceive it is that you look at me doing Doctor Who, you don't take it seriously, but you hear it and you go, oh, that sounds really good. If I can build my skills up in something that you don't take seriously, the one time that I do something you take seriously, an audio drama, a piece of music, or anything thereof, suddenly you'll go, wow. And that's the wow factor I'm looking for. That's what I want to bring into, I guess, an industry standard in the future, is to build up a rapport with skills, because I've only recently been using equalizer bands, so, you know, and EQing things, and it's that kind of thing where there are loads of different things that I've been trying to work with compressors, but my audio quality isn't really that good, so I haven't cured the audio properly with my room, so compressors are kind of defunct in a lot of ways, because it requires some very good soundproofing for a compressor, I think, to have a good enough effect. But then that's getting into sound design itself. And, you know, ironically, I've been using Premiere Pro, and I've messed about in Reaper. I've got the free trial version at the moment. I've been messing about with it. And to be fair, whenever I use Reaper, I kind of want to start singing. So maybe we'll get some John tunes in the future. But I will forewarn you that right now I can't really sing very well. I know the whole character point of, like, the Dark Doctor and Reign of the Golden Age is that he can sing, but I'm still learning to sing, which is why I'm kind of glad it's taken 500,000 years for all of this to come out, because I don't know how to sing, if you know what I mean. So it's a work in progress, but I'll get there. I'll get there, I promise. It's because it's all about learning. I genuinely believe you can learn to sing. You don't need to be perfect immediately. It takes time. It's just sometimes if I do it for too long, I get a bit tone deaf, and that's my problem, innit? That's my problem. But no, Projects. So, what have I been working on? Well, through the summer, I was writing a three-part series called Survivors of the Mines. Now, Survivors of the Mines sounds a little bit like something else that I've made called Storage of the Condemned. Yes, that's right. It is a sequel. I have made a sequel to Storage of the Condemned, kind of like a spiritual successor. It is set afterwards, but it's an undisclosed amount of time. There are maybe one or two references to the original series, but that was 6 years ago, so, or 5 and a bit years ago. So, it's that kind of thing where I don't want to connect it too much, because I even though I'm proud of what I did with Storage of the Condemned at the time, I think I could do better with it, which is why I'm announcing something else. I'm going to be releasing Storage of the Condemned Remastered before I release Survivors of the Mines. I'll be rewriting some extra scenes into the scripts, fleshing out the story, bringing all the episodes to about half an hour, and I will try and get re-records where I can. I only think 1 or 2 characters might get recast, because I'm looking for a different kind of energy for the story. So there might be 1 or 2 recasts in Storage of the Condemned, not because of any bad reason or anything like that. It's simply more of just a creative direction of that, and I'm sure the people who were originally in Storage of the Condemned could be in something else in the future. So it's that kind of thing. And I like the idea of having this original version, this remastered version, the canon version, the Redux, which is something else I'll also get into, which I'm quite excited about. So, yeah, and then in terms of another original, I was writing something called Everything's Fine, which was going to be a single... Wait, no. Okay, 3, 2, 1. There we go. It was going to be a 45-minute to hour-long drama, but the problem is that when I was writing it, I was in quite a low headspace. I'd only just started seeing a therapist, and I was quite angry with the world. And so it is politically charged, but I do worry that it would come across as quite angry, because it is very raw, it is very me, and it's basically kind of like spilling my guts onto the page, if you know what I mean. And the problem is that I just felt that there were probably some scenes that would come across as bad taste. If I'm being honest, like I listened back to it, well, I read it over, and I showed it to the person who I was in therapy with at the time. Not anymore. I only was with them for like 6 to 8 months. But it's the kind of thing where he told me one of the best things that I think I've ever been told by anyone is that right now you're writing image versus truth, and you're making a very big point about it. But a good writer is always writing image versus truth. And it's that kind of thing where we were talking about it, because, I show bits to some people. I don't show a lot of my original work to people. I tend to just send it to the actors. I tend to find people locally to me, because it's weird. Like Doctor Who, I care less about it, whereas I am a little bit, not precious, but I'm quite like, no, this is my baby. Don't touch it. Don't say anything about her or him or them. Don't do anything. Like, no. So it's that kind of thing. Which is something I can get over. Like, it's not that problematic, it's not that deep, but it's which is ironic, because I'm the kind of person who is saying that everything is deep. That's the irony, is that I know it doesn't matter, but it matters to me, if you know what I mean, which is a massive dichotomy and can keep me up at night for hours on end, if I'm honest with you. That probably won't see the light of day for a little while, because I need time to process all of the stuff that has happened over the last few years, personally and worldly. I mean, considering what particular files that were released recently, there's a lot more to process, I think. So it's that kind of thing where I think it's just going to take me a bit of time for that one. I'm going to leave that on the back burner, because I was probably the most angriest I've ever been while writing in my life when writing that one, I'll be honest. And yeah, but with Survivors of the Mines, obviously that's been written now, but I need to go over it again, because I want to make sure that they are good. And when I say good, I mean good. Like Reign of the Golden Age, I don't actually check over as much. The reason it's taken so long for Reign of the Golden Age to come out is because I'm depressed. So it's not a factor of that it takes a long time. It's like, well, depressed and also hardware issues, but it's both of those. But that's why I'm coming here and making these videos, because now I have to hold myself to the mark, because now I've said it to the world on the internet. I have to do something with my life, because otherwise I look like a fool. You know, oh, look at this John, he's coming out and saying he's going to make these videos and he's not fucking doing it. Meh. You know, and it's just that kind of thing. So now I've got video evidence of me saying I'm going to do a thing, and if I don't do a thing, then I'm a twat. So that's why I'm doing this. To call myself out. But no, like, yeah, so all of that. There is another project called Happy Yet, which is a sequel to Happy Happy. So yes, we're getting a sequel to Happy Happy, which is very, very exciting. I'll be honest. I'm quite happy for that. There is that's going to be bringing back Joe, who played Brian May in the original Happy Happy. There won't be a remaster for that because I don't think I'm going to be able to get Lucy to come back and record for that particular thing. I mean, I might message her and ask her, but I doubt it. But it's just that kind of thing where I don't know if that's going to happen. And then it's all well and good, but yeah. But I will say that with the storyline, I would like to obviously have this kind of sequel to Happy Happy. But I think I would like to maybe make the third installment, if there ever is one, a film. So I'd probably do a third one at some point with a bit of money, like maybe like just under $1,000, and make a film, and it's the third Happy Happy installment, because I think that's actually feasible, because you can make things look sci-fi if you've got a fairly okay camera, or maybe even not. Maybe it could be analog horror. I mean, I'm pretty sure I looked on Dwem the other day. Well, I was told, no, not looked on Dwem the other day. I was told about it months ago. That's the difference. And there's an analog horror film, Doctor Who styled, on Dwem, and it's quite good. It's made by Iris. It's quite good. I will say props to that. It's quite a good idea. And well, yeah, but I will say that, you know, we've got that coming along, Happy Yet. Yeah, because that's the thing. A lot of, I didn't realize it because I've watched only like one or two, like, Black Mirror episodes. But Black Mirror, I hadn't actually seen most of it. I'd seen up to like season 2, I think, and then I recently binged it on a sad night. Like one night I was feeling not very happy, but I still had Netflix and it was running out in 5 days, and I thought, okay, I will watch this 4K goodness. And I watched, basically, I binged like 3 series worth of Black Mirror in a night, because I couldn't sleep, so I just watched Black Mirror. Like, I'm not gonna lie, that was a new low. I mean, Black Mirror is pretty cool. I mean, it's quite a vibe watching, like, Peter Capaldi, like, tell everyone about his computer AI beings at 3 a.m. Yeah, that's quite a vibe, to be fair. I like that. I'd recommend it. Yeah, and then third or fourth or whatever order it is, lastly, in terms of originals, I'm also writing something called Distant Light, which is a 5-episode series set in an underwater sea base. And I will say no more. So if I see anyone releasing something called Distant Light in weeks to come, then I'll know exactly who it is, and you've got evidence here of me saying, I mean, you can. This is the thing, is I was talking to one of my mates about 3 weeks ago, where it was like, especially with Doctor Who ideas, I do just say them, and then once or twice you see people, like, you see it crop up. Like, I once said to a couple people that I wanted to write a short novella for one of the Doctors in the Doctor Who fan timeline to just sort of like help build my skills in writing before I go back into writing something, because I wrote a book back in 2020, but your first book will always be terrible, so I think I might as well just write a new one. But I think to properly practice in a short form 30,000 words novella for a Doctor in the timeline, either myself or like Trilby. And I told this to 2 individuals, and one of those individuals then went around about 3 days later saying, yeah, I'm going to write a Doctor Who novella that's 30,000 words long. And I kind of just sat there going, right, okay. So if that was you and you're watching this, I'm calling you out. That's bloody ridiculous, I'll be honest with you. Yeah, the kinds of people that you meet, you know, the kinds of people that you meet is actually ridiculous. Obviously, they never did. I still have. I'm still, well, I mean, I haven't touched it for about a year, but it is about 12.5 to 13,000 words long so far. So I'm not even halfway, but I did it. I kind of did like a 5,000 word sprint like over the course of a week, and then I just sort of wrote 1,000 words every week, and then it kind of fizzled out, and then I never touched it. But I am quite happy with the story and the direction it was going, and I think if I ever do finish it, I will read it out as an audiobook for Dark Design, because I think that'd be quite cute. Like, here's my first book, self-published technically, but it's an audiobook. Like, here's my first full length, quote unquote, audiobook. It's not full length, it's 30,000 words. It's a short story technically, or a novella or whatever. But yeah, I might read that out. But no, again, going back to Doctor Who news, actually, the big kicker is that once Reign of the Golden Age is out, because as of now it's not, I will be taking a break from Reign of the Golden Age, because that has been quite the experience to make. And I think for the sake of my mental health, it's best I take a break from that and move to the highly anticipated remake Redux of Dark Legends. So Dark Legends will probably be the thing that I focus on. Series 2 is still coming. The companions are cast. They might end up getting recast. I don't know. It depends if they stay on. But it's the kind of thing like we've got everything set up. We've got Connor J. Sumner's Crusader. We've got James Leaper's Master. We've got the two companions as characters will stand. So there will be two companion characters. And I'm very, very hopeful that the people playing them still play them. Of course, life might get in the way. No biggie. But yeah, like when it comes to it, I'm quite excited for Dark Legends remake though, because a lot of the stories people that aren't very good from the original Dark Legends, and I think we can make them better. So I will say expect some differences, expect some changes, some simplifications, some complications, and just expect it to be a redux to regenerated form of what we had. Because what we had in 2018 may have just about cut it back then, but I'm not going to lie, I listen to parts of it now and I go, if this is the first impression that people have of me, then I am so upset. I will contemplate the Dover Cliffs. But then I think that's good, because I listened back to it and it is god awful. Like, it's the kind of awful where it's more than awful. And it's that kind of thing where I think I contemplated back in 2021 getting rid of it because it made me feel insecure. But I've progressed so much over the last few years that it's made me realize, wait, no, keep it there, because anyone out there who, like maybe seeing this journey that I'm going on, because I'm self-teaching myself this. I went to uni for 2 years. I didn't even get my degree. And I improved naturally. Like, I was shit at my coursework. I really didn't like the environment I was in. I love the tutors though. They were lovely, and I got some lovely comments from some lovely people. But it's just one of those things where talking to them, it was very weird. I learnt predominantly through experience. The more I live, the better of a writer I've become. And as much as it was both joyous and painful being at uni, it has shaped the direction of how I write in the future. Because I used to do automatic writing. Like, lo and behold, Storage of the Condemned was written in summer 2019 when I was 15 years old. I was 15 when I wrote it. It didn't come out until I was 17. So it's that kind of thing where I took a long time to get that out at the time, because I was kind of like trying to write as much as possible, but then it took ages to get things out, and it was a nightmare getting people to record. It's become better to get people to record now. I'm in the right spaces for that now. The only annoying thing is I'm not taking advantage of it. I should be making more originals especially. But that's why I'm focusing on Dark Legends, because it's closer to the group of people who can help me with all of that. And good. And most of the people I know now are the people that I knew back then. Like Thomas Hayden James is returning as writer. I'll be working on scripts from William Goodall. I'm not talking to him at the moment because I don't know where he's gone. I met him on Amino, which sounds very dodgy. Like a 14-year-old goes on Amino and finds a writer for a Doctor Who fan series. Very random. And so I don't know where he's at. So William Goodall, if you're out there and you're okay, I hope you're okay. But we're remastering your script. And there'll be like maybe just a few changes, so you'll still get the credit, don't worry. Helena Sparks wrote a script for Series 1 of Dark Legends back in the day, so that'll probably get a little reshuffle, re-edit for the characterizations that are changing. Connor Chadwick's coming back to write a new version of Giving Up the Light, so there are lots of things that are coming. And it's that kind of thing where I don't know, I'm just quite excited for it all, really. And I just want to learn, because I learnt more in the people that I knew and the experiences I had at uni than the actual education centre itself. because you get put into like worlds of all sorts of characters, and it has informed a lot of what I believe now as a person. And I think going forward, because I said this on my page, and it was mostly meant to be a bit of satire where I went on this weird rant in the middle of the summer saying, I will only tell the truth, nothing but the truth. You will hear nothing but the truth from me, or whatever it was. It was satirical based on my personal life events and stuff like that. But the thing is, it is true. I'm attracted to the deeper knowing, and I don't know how to explain this. Someone may be able to, but I long for what I had as a child, because I spent a lot of time on my own as a kid. Not in a sad way, in the sense of I very much just liked being with me. And I had the kind of the inverse of that when I went to uni. But the thing is that I had this inner knowing with a lot of things. And I think that's what caused me a lot of frustration as I grew up, is because a lot of people didn't have that knowing. Like, I don't know how to explain it without sounding all wishy-washy, but if you know something of the self that other people don't, that it kind of upsets you intrinsically, because you know how true it is. And it's not just a thing about yourself, it's a thing about humanity, it's about people, because you see it in everyone. And I've had this weird thing with myself over the last couple of years where I can see your life written in your face because I remember experiencing it. It's like you're meeting like past versions of yourself. Sometimes I've met future versions. I feel like I get premonitions and warnings of what will happen if I do X, Y, Z. And that's a thing, which sounds ever so slightly like... but that's why the idea of synchronicity ended up in Mark of the Cross. You know, I remember telling Thomas McCarthy about all these things, and the ideas of religion and control and stuff like that kind of bred from that. So these kinds of things, I think, you know, when you work in the knowing of the self, I think that's where a lot of the good stuff comes from. Because I was 15 years old when I wrote Storage of the Condemned, and it was inspired thematically by years and years. But the thing is, given all of the stuff that's been coming out, all the different things that have been happening in the world, Storage of the Condemned is starting to ring like a very true possibility. Like a very, very true possibility. And not just in the years and years way, in the, oh my word, we are cattle to the people at the top. In that sense. And there's a lot of subtext in Storage of the Condemned that I wanted to get across at the time that I didn't have the words for that I have for now, which is why I want to remake it. So it'll I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm just going to be re-recording my lines, finding the original project file, fixing up the sound design, replacing some sound effects with better ones. So it's not don't expect something amazing, but do expect some new scenes that can shed some light on characterization we would have otherwise not have gotten. And yeah. But I'll be honest with you, I think that is pretty much it, to be honest. I know, it's so sad. I don't want to leave either. I love having a yap. But I will say that doing this is hopefully going to make me feel better in life. And I hope that you join me on this journey, because I think I've made very much the decision that I don't want to let anything stop me anymore, in the sense of, if I want to do something, I want to do everything in my power to stop anything getting in the way of that. And you can only get to that conclusion when you have been living in a level of restriction for too long, if you know what I mean. And don't get me wrong, I live in a place of privilege even saying that. I might not have a penny to my name, but I have a mum who can give me a roof over my head, and I don't have to pay too much to her for it, you know? And it's that kind of thing where that is quite lucky. Because at 22, not everyone has that. People have to break their back and get into work, and they have to forget their dreams. I'm very lucky and fortunate that I have even this time. It might not be forever, but it's time. And I think I want to use it wisely. So I'm going to make some more stuff. Make sure that rather than saying the truth, I say the knowing. I will never go against the knowing, not the truth. Because the truth is black and white. The knowing is nuance. And that's a hard thing to swallow for some people. And it comes across as ever so slightly esoteric because it's for very specific people. That's literally what esoteric means. So if you get what I'm saying, then I'm happy for you. If you don't get what I'm saying, maybe you'll come to understand what I mean about the knowing. And maybe I might even do a video where I talk about the knowing. And if anyone can tell me if that relates to anything, we can maybe talk about it, because I'm quite open for a lot of different conversations. I like looking into different kinds of things. I love conspiracy theories. I'll be honest, I love them a lot. And yeah, maybe that we could do a little YouTube series where we talk about conspiracy theories. Oh, I actually really like that. Should we do that? I love this. Okay, right. We will do YouTube series on conspiracy theories because I was addicted to them back in 2024, especially. So yeah, I think I might do that. But no, anyway, thank you so much for coming to this video. If you liked it, smash that like button in the face like a boss, because we are topping the morning to you, my laddies. I'm not Jacksepticeye in the slightest. Nor am I Markiplier actually. Ever since I was 11 years old, everyone goes up to me and says, "Oh my god, you look like Markiplier. Oh my god, you let's say hello everybody." And I say, "Hello everybody." And it's like, no, do it like Mark. "Hello everybody." And then, you know, you get a nice little round of applause and a good smile, but it's getting old. It's getting really old. Can we stop? Stop calling me Markiplier. I am not Markiplier. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me on this video, and I will speak to you soon. Bye-bye.